This is a man's world, but we won't quit. This is a man's world. She who dares wins.
Hello and welcome to How to Survive a Man's World. Today's video is all about how to get a pay rise. Get really comfy here a second. Whew. So, pay rise, right, okay. I'm a freelance engineer, and being freelance and running your own business, just need to take my keys out of my pocket, they're digging right in my bum. But I do have my fair share of knowledge about getting pay rises, as I've had a fair few over the years. So today let's talk about how I got my pay rises and how hopefully you can get yours. Over the years, I've had a few jobs where I don't feel like I've been paid the right amount of money. And worse still, some jobs where a male colleague who's doing the exact same job as me has earned more money. So after getting super angry and shouting, "What the I then had to do something about it and try and renegotiate my pay. I want to tell you that I was super brave and that I just stormed into my boss's office and said, "Yo, give me a pay rise." And he turned around and went, "Yeah, sure, Michelle, here's what do you want?" And here it is. But that's not the case. If it was, then I'd just walk out like Beyonce with all this swagger and be like, "Yeah." That's not the case. So instead, let me tell you the real deal and how things actually went down. But before we get into that, I want to talk about why asking for a pay rise is so difficult. For me, I think there's a huge amount of fear. I feel like if I go in and that person says no, then I feel rejected. I feel like, they don't think I'm good enough at my job, and all these thoughts come to mind, and they're completely irrational. And then I ask myself the all-important question, what if they say no? Well, then they say no. Yet in my mind, the word no is just like, no. I hate the word no. Don't say no to me. Please don't say no. Well, let's add into the mix a little bit of self-doubt. Oh yes, I love this one. So I want a pay rise. It's something that I've probably moaned about for a fair few months. But as soon as the time comes to discuss that pay rise with someone, a little bit of self-doubt gets in there. And it's like, well, actually, do you know what? Maybe I'm not worth that money. And actually, maybe I'm not that great at my job. Which is crazy talk. And it's myself talking myself out of going asking for a pay rise. And then in some situations, I don't like my boss, or I don't like the person that I've got to go and ask a pay rise from. For whatever reason, they might even scare me. Yes, I do get scared. I have been scared over the years. And sometimes I just don't want to go and ask. So we now know all the reasons why we don't want to ask for a pay rise, but we still want that pay rise. So we have no other option but go and ask for that pay rise. Fear is something we all have. We're humans, we hate being rejected. You don't always have to fight the fear, but try and deal with it. So know that you're worried about going and ask for a pay rise. Maybe even tell your boss that you're worried about asking for a pay rise when you go in. That might break the ice. I always try and ask myself, what's the worst that can happen? Are they going to sack me? No. Have you ever heard of anyone being sacked because they asked for a pay rise? Ask at the right time. This is important. Sometimes there's never a right time to ask for a pay rise, especially if the company is struggling financially. But there are more favourable times to ask. For example, I always find it's good to ask for a meeting, to sit down with that person, discuss your career first, discuss are they happy with your work, lay down some good foundations before you come out and ask for a pay rise. It's not great to storm into someone's office and say, "Hey, I've done this, 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 this and this. You need to give me the money." So choose your timing. After you've made a balls up, that's not the best time to ask for a pay rise. "Hey, I ordered a huge amount of concrete that you didn't use and it cost the company a load of money. Can I have a pay rise?" Here's an interesting one. I've organised a meeting in the past so that I can ask for a pay rise, and somehow my boss knows what I want and he's avoided having a meeting at all costs. I guess because he already had the answer in his head. You just got to catch them with a can and just hope that the answer's not no. Okay, so you've got the meeting, or you've got the situation in which you're going to ask for the pay rise. What do you do now? Well, here's something you should have done beforehand. Do your research. You know, if you're going in there and asking for a pay rise, why are you asking for a pay rise? You need to be telling your boss exactly what it is that you do, why you deserve. Are there companies out there that are paying more money for the same job that you're doing? But don't wing it, you're going to have some evidence. So do some research online, maybe even take that research into the meeting and say, look, these jobs are available elsewhere. These are the types of pay scales that people are getting. Why am I not getting that money? It's been easier for me because I'm a freelance engineer and the agencies that I work for all have rates, and you can phone lots of different agencies and see which companies are paying different rates. I also know that my brother's an engineer, so I discuss with him his pay, and I make sure that, you know, I'm up there and I'm earning the same as all the other guys. In the meeting, you're starting to discuss the pay rise. You need to nail the art of negotiation. So if you sense at any point that you're not going to get what you want, then you need to be thinking forward. You need to be thinking, right, if I come out of this meeting, is my boss going to understand that in 6 or 12 months' time, I still want that pay rise? And is he going to let me know what it is he needs from me in order to get that pay rise further down the line? So what I'm saying is, don't just take no for an answer and walk out the door. Sit there and discuss what it is that you need to be doing to get this pay rise. So the best scenario is you get the money that you want and you deserve. But if you don't, maybe you need to let your boss know that you have other options. Go out there and see what the work is out there, what companies are paying, maybe even start applying for jobs. You know, if your boss all of a sudden feels like you might be going somewhere else, that might push them into giving you a pay rise sooner rather than later. I worked for a company where I felt like I was being undervalued, and I mentioned to some of the other workforce that, you know, I was kind of getting sick and tired of it. And unknown to me, they went to management and explained how much they liked working with me and how much they thought I was a good engineer. And I ended up getting a pay rise before I even asked for it. So sometimes just dropping a hint can have a massive effect, which brings me nicely on to get people to champion your work. If you're going in to ask for a pay rise and your boss has had lots of people come up to him and tell him how good you are at your job, then he's more likely to listen and give you what you want. I should just interject here and say I'm saying him as a boss, but in no means am I suggesting that every boss is a guy. It's just that I think every single boss I've ever had was a guy. So it's all relative to me in my experience. And finally, if your boss is not giving you any commitment in terms of the future, things that you can work on to get your pay rise, or he's refusing to kind of enter the conversation about pay rise, then it might be time for you to move on. Find that amazing boss who will pay you exactly what it is that you're worth. So fight the fear, go and ask for the pay rise. Be prepared, do your research, get someone to champion you, don't take no for an answer, and if things don't work out, then look at moving on. I'm exhausted and it's been so long since I had a pay rise. If you like today's video, hit that subscribe button, and I'll be back next week with a new episode of How to Survive a Man's World.